Hello, I'm Asghar Sharif and you're watching the news from Kazakhstan. The financial police refuses to initiate criminal proceedings against Timur Kulibayev, the Kazakh president's son-in-law. Moreover, the police will no longer accept any incriminating documents presented by Mukhtar Ablyazov, say department officials. Recently, the ex-banker Mukhtar Ablyazov made several statements accusing Timur Kulibayev, the deputy chair of the state fund Samruk-Kazana, and financial fraud. The law enforcement agencies promised to investigate the charges. On March 19th, the chair of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Agency said that investigators didn't find any evidence to support the claims of Ablyazov, who supposedly presented only a part of documents. Therefore, the whole scope of operations couldn't be revealed. The financial police noted that the ex-banker's statements on Kulibayev's involvement in the secret transactions with some companies was not confirmed. All operations on the allocation of bonds and shares of the national company were conducted publicly. I can tell you that none of the facts provided by Ablyazov were proved after the examination. His arguments contradict not only the results of the evaluations of external experts, but also the annual audits of leading international companies. At the same time, the head of the financial police indirectly confirmed on Friday that Timur Kulibayev does have expensive real estate abroad, but also made it clear that his department is not going to investigate how the large amounts of money ended up in the pockets of the official. You know that many citizens of Kazakhstan became rich due to us implementing market reforms in the recent years. Therefore, such issues may concern not only Kulibayev but also all other people who are recognized worldwide as being legitimately rich. The important thing is that their money were not obtained criminally. The negotiations with strikers in Zhanaozen have finally produced results, as oilfield workers and Kazmunay's board reached several compromises. Unfortunately, the strike had its victims as one of the workers died of hypertension, never seeing the end of the protest.
The strike of Kazakh oilfield workers ended on Friday morning of March 19th after the 17-hour-long negotiations of the Conciliation Commission. On Thursday evening, the head of the national company Kazmunaygas Kayrgildi Kabaldin, governor of Mangistau region Krimbek Kusherbayev, MPs, vice ministers and executives of exploration and production Kazmunaygas all arrived in Zhanaozen. 12 state officials and 12 strikers participated in talks. There were problems with the work conditions, salaries and leadership of the company. Everything was told directly to Kabaldin and he could not report anything. Workers say that 3 out of their 10 demands remained unmet. Kazmunaygas will not be re-established as an independent legal entity. Exploration and production Kazmunaygas, which owns Kazmunaygas, will not be nationalized, and workers will not be paid for strike days. It does not seem that workers were too satisfied with the result of the talks. They forced us into this situation. Why don't they want to pay us? So far, they have only robbed and deceived us and used our workforce. Why the top officials do not want to understand their faults? There is no rule of law here. They have to pay us. The workers were able to secure the revocation of the new pay system, abolition of employment competition, increase of staff, cutting of oil production plan, establishment of territorial allowances for harmfulness, and deductions for medical insurance. Also, it was promised to re-employ 3 foremen who were fired earlier. The strike began on March 1st with about 800 workers stopping the production for an hour. On March 4th, the action turned into a mass strike with over 10,000 strikers. Several days later, the director of Kazmunaygas, Bakıtkali Besikenov, resigned. For a long time, workers' discontent was ignored. Only on March 17th, the authorities made a step forward by creating a conciliation commission. It took a death of a worker for the authorities to enter a constructive dialogue. On the evening of March 18th, wireman Omar Utemiz died of hypertension at the square among his fellow workers.
Representatives of the International Organization Against Torture are concerned about the overall health condition of Mukhtar Jakishev. On Friday, 2 independent experts arrived from Geneva to Astana with a written mandate to the Sararka District Court intending to conduct an independent examination of the defendant. Unfortunately, they were met with closed doors of many organizations due to the extensive celebrations of the holiday Nowruz.
Cardiologists Finsa Leo and Francesca Conte arrived straight to the court after the 6-hour flight from Geneva to Astana, bringing along a mandate from the International Organization Against Torture. They're interested in the condition of Mukhtar Jakishev. The specialists are going to conduct an independent medical examination.
We are sent by an organization which is a non-governmental organization against torture. So it's not a matter of torture. Probably this prisoner is not tortured, but he is ill since a long time, and in some way, if he does not get the good
Unfortunately, the Sararka court was closed on Friday because of the Nowruz holiday. The judge, Nurjan Jodasbekov, refused to meet with the foreigners, allowing them only to leave their appeal in the office. The shocked experts had to face the closed doors of the isolation ward of the National Security Company as well as the Foreign Affairs Ministry.
From the documents, it's quite clear that the patient suffers of arterial hypertension, has already been admitted by the emergency department in local hospital, and also had
According to Jimla Jakisheva, the petition on inviting doctors was filed by the defendant's attorney on March 15th. The court, however, did not respond within 3 days as specified by the law. These people came here officially with a mandate, thus according to the rules of etiquette, they should have been met and their documents accepted. We saw nothing like that here. Jakisheva says that her husband's attorney is not allowed to read the protocol of the trial and verdict. Thus, he cannot submit appeals to a higher authority. According to Jakisheva, this is done deliberately, as the term for making the appeal will expire right after the holidays.
Other foreign diplomats, representatives of the OSCE, asked Kazakh authorities to fairly treat the imprisoned human rights activist Evgeny Zhovtis. They visited him in the colony where they noted the bias of the administration and poor living conditions. Foreigners expressed their hope that the Supreme Court will consider Zhovtis' supervisory appeal and take into consideration the violations of the procedural law committed during his trial. I urge Kazakhstan, as the current chair of the OSCE, to lead by example through concrete actions, starting with the release of activist Evgeny Zhovtis, whom staff from the Helsinki Commission visited this week in prison. Zhovtis at least deserved the same freedoms afforded other prisoners in his facility, including the right to work outside the facility during the day. In Almaty, the office of the public human rights organization Talmas is being monitored by policemen and security officials for already more than a day. Public activists suspect that this is the way the authorities are attempting to prevent a rally in support of Zhanosian oil field workers.
For more than a day, a house on the Yasau Street is practically under siege. Most likely, law enforcement officials are investigating the whereabouts of Ainur Kurmanov, the leader of the public union Talmas. His friends and colleagues say that Kurmanov is away. Nevertheless, no one is allowed inside the office. The staff of the public union Talmas helps solving the problems of problematic real estate investors and mortgage borrowers. Right now, Kurmanov's office is a mousetrap. All access roads are being blocked and the police are checking the documents of every visitor.
No comments.
The chair of Talmas was recently sentenced to 15 days of arrest for organizing a picket near the office of ATF Bank. Kurmanov has more than a dozen of such convictions. This time he filed an appeal and thus cannot be arrested without a court order, explained fellow union activists.
We will not let them break in, even if the house belonged to any of our regular members.
Kurmanov's colleagues believe that the authorities are trying to hinder several protests planned for March, including the Congress of Activists for the Social Resistance, scheduled for March 23rd, and the rally in support of workers from Zhanosian.
This situation is likely linked with the search for Ainur Kurmanov and the fact that Talmas filed an unusual request for a rally, compiled in the form of a demand.
Human rights activists consider another possibility. According to newspaper Respublika, the president's administration issued an order to get rid of the politically active citizens in time for Nursultan Nazarbayev's anniversary, so that it would go smoothly and peacefully.